it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets, and welcome to the Let's Make Snowflakes app brought to you by the members of Handmade Happiness. Today we're going to create a tri-fold slimline card with an angled top. So to create this card, you're going to need a piece of cardstock that's 8.5 by 10.5. On the 10.5 inch side, you're going to score at 3.5 and 7. This will create your tri-fold card. On the 8.5 inch side, all the way to the left, you're going to mark down 3 inches. It's optional if you want to mark down the 2 and the 1 inch score marks on the middle and the very right one. Or you could just put this in your paper trimmer and line up the 3 inch mark with the top right corner and cut the angle off like that. But I found it easiest just to line it up, making that 2 inch and 1 inch mark just to make sure that it was even. Now I'm using my Martha Stewart border punch to punch out these snowflakes. You want to make sure that you leave a border on the right and the left side. Otherwise, it's going to cut the entire snowflake row off and you won't have this snowflake effect at the top. As you can see, the snowflakes are not attached to the paper except on the left and the right. So this will be fairly delicate, but it does fold easily, and I used thinner cardstock, like 65-pound cardstock, so I think that that would work. If you used anything that was heavier, I think you would have more of an issue. Now I'm going to create the snowbanks from this white sparkly cardstock. This is kind of it's like a shimmer cardstock, comes in a pack of 100 at Michael's, and I've had it for a while. So it is 11 inches long. I'm going to put it in my scoreboard and score it at 3.5 inches and 7 inches, just like I did with the card base. And then once I've scored it, I'm actually going to cut on those score marks. Now what you want to remember before you glue this down is to cut off a little bit extra on each side, because you want to be able to have the card fold. If you don't do that, you're going to overlap and it's going to make the card very difficult to fold. So I'm actually going to have to go back in a minute and do that after I glue it down. So I kind of made that mistake, and that's why I put a second layer of this snowbank on there. Now I'm going to use MFT On Pointe precision glue to glue all of the snowbank pieces onto the card base. Next, I'm going to, here's where I figured out that I needed another layer of the snowbank. And then we're going to put that off to the side, and we're going to use the remaining piece with this Martha Stewart snowflake punch. So to use this punch, you're going to line up the angle top with the angle on the bottom and punch out the snowflakes, so it creates a bunch of them. The images we're going to stamp out are from the Create and Inkspire November kit, and we stamped out the snowman, the double tree, the single tree, the mailbox, and the North Pole sign. Now I'm only going to show you guys the coloring of the snowman because the rest of it was a little bit repetitive, but sometimes coloring white objects can be tricky. So I took a class this past weekend and learned how to color white objects. I actually learned how to color the snowman, and I tried to do the exact same thing. I think I messed up a little bit, but it gets you the idea. So we are going to be using BV colors to color in this traditionally white snowman. A white object is always going to have some shadow to it, so you can add a light blue, a light pink, a light gray, a light purple, which is what we do here. So we're going to use BV02, BV01, BV00, and C1 to color this in. I started off with the BV02 and just kind of went around the outline of the image. Then we're going to go around with BV01 and extend that line just a tiny bit. Do the same thing with the BV00, bringing it down a little bit further. And then we're going to come in with the C1 and kind of almost blend things out. Now, I have a hard time sometimes with a white object because the lines sometimes are harsh. So I did go back in with my colorless blender. I started in the middle where it was white and worked my way out just to try to soften some of the edges. So I barely touched where the color was, but it just softens those edges a little bit and doesn't give you that harsh line. So the next thing we're going to do is color in the carrot on the snowman's nose, and we're going to use YR04, and I just used the one color because it's such a tiny area. But next we're going to move into the scarf and the hat, and we're going to use a 4-color blend on it. R89 is going to be the first color that we use, and I'm going to use that very, very sparingly. It's going to be just where the darkest areas lie. So some of the folds and the creases on the hat and where the hat would meet the furry parts. Next, we're going to use R59, and we're going to extend that R89 line out just a tiny bit. So this is the medium dark, and I don't use so much of that. The third color in a 4-color blend is usually what I use the most of. So this is R46, and we're going to bring those colors out a lot and just leave a teeny tiny white space that we will go in and fill in with that highlight color. And our highlight color is R17. And this is a different color combination for me. I like the way that it came out though. That R17 is a little red-orange, so it gave a little bit of a different color to that red. So there's the hat. I went back in with that R46 because I thought there was a little bit too much of a highlight area. So once that was done, now we're going to color in the pom-pom and the fuzzy part of the hat. We're going to be using C5, C3, and C1. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I took that C3 out way too far on the fuzzy part of the hat. So I'm going to come in with the C1 and just blend that out a little bit, and then come back in with the colorless blender and go over that just to kind of tone that down. And I think it looks much better in the end than it did when I had too much of the C3 on it. Okay. Before we glue down the top snowbank, I am going to glue down all of the objects that I colored. So first, on the front panel, we are going to have the Letters to Santa mailbox. I glued that down and then glued the snowbank over it. I wanted most of these objects to be in the middle of snow, which is why one of the reasons I added a second layer. The other reason was because the middle panel on the right-hand side, I had to pull it up, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's a nice big crease on the right-hand side. So I thought that covering it up with the snowman and a snowbank would make it look a lot better. So I fussy cut all these images out off camera, and then I did go around them with a black marker, around the edges with a black marker, just so you can't see that white, and you can't really see where I messed up with the fussy cutting. I like doing that. The only part about this that I don't really love is his hands, so I may go back and take a Copic marker and see if I can get one that's super close to the background color and color it in. So I glued down in the middle panel the snowman and the single tree, and then on the panel on the right, we're going to glue down the double tree and the North Pole sign. So I did go over the North Pole sign with some Spectrum Noir glitter pen just to give it a little bit of color, because I left it white, which I don't know why I did that. There wasn't a lot of brown, so I didn't really want to bring brown in there. I guess I wasn't sure what color to do it, but I just wanted to do a little bit of sparkle to that. So I did add the sparkle pen. I don't think that I do that on camera. I also added the sparkle to the snowflakes on the top. I did that in the very beginning, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but you can see it in person. So here you go. That's the card so far. And now we're going to take the snowflakes that we cut out from that Martha Stewart punch, and I'm going to place them all over and use my MFT On Pointe precision glue to glue them down. I use my MFT On Pointe precision glue to glue everything down: the snowbanks, the characters, and the big snowflakes. The snowbanks, the snowflakes, and the images. Now I'm taking my Signo Uniball pen and adding snowflakes all over. And I'm adding them to the front of the images too, because snow would be falling in front of them. So if you're having snowflakes fall, you want it to go over the images. And I really like the way that looks. I picked that up from Sandy Allnock's coloring, and I think it just adds so much to the scene. I wanted to add the little snowflakes on the back because we have so many snowflakes on there, and I just think that it added, that little snowfall just added something to the card. So going back in and adding it to even to the very, very top. There was a lot of snow that I had to add. I'm going back in because I added more dots on the right side than I did with the left, and I had to go back and try to make it a little bit more even. But there is the trifold card, and that's it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. All of the participants in the hop will be listed below. Make sure that you check everyone out. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Here are some still pictures of the card. Hope you like it. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. And I will see you guys again real soon for the next video.